Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And I'm here today to talk about the partial solar eclipse, new moon in Taurus on April 30th, 2022 at 1:28 p.m. Pacific time. But before I do that, I'm just going to do a wee bit of business. All of the videos on my channel are whole sign Western astrology. So these are going to be based on your rising sign. I believe the moon is as important, if not more important than the rising sign. So I would pay attention to the sign that represents that for you. And then finally, I think the sun and then stelliums. Stellium is 3 or more planets in one sign or house. And these are personal planets, not the outer planets like Pluto and Neptune. Those are generational and they move very slowly. So a true stellium would be your personal planets, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury, etc. Today, what I'm going to do, one more little announcement. On the day of the solar eclipse, partial solar eclipse to be specific, I'm going to be doing my first webinar, and it is about the North and South Node through the signs. This is going to be a series of webinars. They're going to be about 2 hours each, and what we're going to do is create a picture of what the soul's intention is for this lifetime. So you can see why or how your soul has agreed to certain obstacles in order to create opportunities, and certain forks in the road that give your soul an opportunity to make choices of the highest vibration versus pattern choices that the human makes out of fear and scarcity. So that is going to be on April 30th. It's $19.99 for the 2-hour webinar. If you purchase it before April 24th, from April 25th to the 29th, it'll be $29.99, and there's no signing up the day of. I'm a single one-man band, and I'm probably going to be underwater trying to figure out how to do this on Zoom because I've never done it before. So be patient with me, but I'm really excited about this webinar. I think it's going to really start to give you information and tools to put the puzzle pieces together and to weave a tale that seems authentic to the experience you're having now and help you maneuver through those challenging times more succinctly so that you can kick in those laws of attraction and start living that life that you really want to live. Okay, so let's talk about the partial solar eclipse, new moon in Taurus on April 30th. A partial solar eclipse is where the moon and the sun are not completely aligned. So the moon doesn't completely obliterate the sun. There's a little bit of a crack. And that seems very much like a sign from the universe for me, because the moon for me very much represents the emotional body, the intuitive body, the ancestral body that I carry from lifetime to lifetime. It represents what makes me feel nurtured and at home. And the sun is how I present myself in the world, the perceptions people have of me. It may not necessarily be the truth. So having the moon in this partial eclipse in Taurus somehow speaks to me of how willing am I to show the world the truth of who I am in relation to my skills, all things Taurian. Taurus rules food, it rules the throat and the voice, it rules your skills, it rules possessions, it rules your self-confidence and your history, and not just the history of where you come from in a geographical way, but also the history of your family and how that has affected you and your self-worth. And it rules money. So this is an opportunity to really plant seeds in the dark, which a new moon is, that will show benefit or have the ability to come to fruition in about 6 months when we get to the full moon in Taurus, which will be around Scorpio time. And at the same time, we have the nodes traversing through the Taurus Scorpio access right now, with the north node being somewhere around 22 degrees. So it's not really having a tight conversation with this new moon, but they're in the same house and they're aware of each other's presence. So what I'm going to do is start with Aries, and I'm going to hit 3 different aspects that are happening at the same time and the various houses that it'll be affecting for you. So we have the new moon, which is going to be planting a new seed. How do I want to express my voice? How do I want to express my skills? How do I want to treat my body with food? And if you're a chef, it could be something to do with your career. If you're a farmer, it could have something to do with your farm, agriculture, nurturing the land, and it also rules beasts. Not necessarily pets, but like farm animals and beasts of burden. So we're going to talk about that. Then we're going to talk about the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Pisces, which is super fabulous. Venus ruling money. Venus also is the ruler of Taurus as well as Libra. And it is coming together conjunct at 27 degrees on the day of the eclipse in Pisces. And Pisces is a very spiritual sign, and it rules the 12th house of ancestors, of karma, of opportunity to reflect on the soul's intention and to do this in quiet without the noise of the everyday world around you. It's a house that's Pisces rules in some ways ashrams, prisons, hospitals, research, places where you're alone and doing work, reflection, and then the spiritual side as well. So I think that's going to be super important. Now we're talking about Taurus ruling money. We're talking about Venus ruling Taurus, ruling money. And now the third element involved will be the Pluto retrograde that's starting the day before the eclipse. So we're already in Pluto's shadow period. It's a slow moving planet. It has been hanging out in the late degrees of Capricorn for quite some time. I know because it's affecting personal planets for me. And so this is also going to, I believe, have a very strong transformational energy in regards to the moon and Venus and Jupiter. So we've got these 3 really powerful dynamics with Venus and Jupiter coming together in a very benevolent way. Pluto rules control and dominance, but it also rules power in the form of money. So it rules billionaires. It rules sex. It rules financial people like stockbrokers and investment bankers and tax people and inheritance people and all sorts of things like that. So let's jump into the readings. What I'm going to do is one of my angel readings for each sign. I'm going to start at Aries and tell you what houses this is happening in and how that is going to give you a little bit more focus on what you can really, where your planting will be done best and how you can nurture that throughout this 6-month period so you can really manifest the fruits of your labor. So for my Aries, this new moon partial solar eclipse is happening in your 2nd house of Taurus. Again, this rules money. It rules your self-worth as it relates to your family history and the history of your life. You are experiencing this in a way where it's asking you to look at what you are endeavoring. Is it authentic to what you really want to create? Because the 2nd house can also be the house of insecurity. Taurus is focused on material comforts in the 3D world. So I think for my Aries, this is very much about money because the Pluto transits in your 10th house of career, and Jupiter and Neptune are in your 12th house of spirituality, of ancestral influence, of time spent alone in reflection. So I think for my Aries, I believe that this is an opportunity for you to take this new moon in Taurus and look at where you've potentially been very fixed in your viewpoint of your memories and your history and how you've been talking about that. And I feel like this is an opportunity for you to go into meditation, literally the 12th house of meditation, and speak to your guides and your angels and allow Venus to really transform your self-worth by saying, how does the icky in my life serve what could be beautiful? What have I processed, and what have I assessed, and how can I use that as a stepping stool versus something that pulls me under? Because having Pluto in your 10th house of the public eye, you don't have to be a public figure to have your actions obvious to those around you. You could be on a team at work and people be very aware of how you react to things, how you show up to things. And this is an opportunity to take your bravery, your courage, your sense of adventure, and work in a team way. I feel as if for Aries specifically, the Jupiter-Venus conjunction at 27 degrees, which is a Gemini degree. How do I speak? How do I interact with my teammates, my workmates? And have I processed as an Aries how I land on other people? Because I think that's the wisdom to be garnished as a result of this Jupiter and Venus conjunction. Neptune's not far away. It's within 3 degrees at 24 degrees in Pisces. So this can be a very spiritual epiphany that you have. And rather than feeling diminished by this epiphany, I feel like it can lift you up and bring you into a space where you see your influence. And rather than being impatient with those that take a little while to catch up with you, you have more patience and you're more aware of how your words create your experience. So let's do a reading for Aries. If your moon is in Aries, again, all of these things are going to come into play because your moon is going to be affected by these other dynamics. So I would look and see if there are any other planets in your house of Aries. All of these will be almost like I think of a pinball wizard. You know, one thing triggers another thing, triggers another thing. All right, Aries. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Rosetta. The third is Mystique. And the final is Akasha. Aries gets a rap for being aggressive, gets a bit of a dinged for being, you know, too assertive, a little blunt, a little fiery in not such a positive way. And I feel like when I look at this, Merlina is being joined by the frog. Rosetta is being joined by the stag. Mystique is being joined by the transformational death card. And Akasha is being joined by the water fairy. I feel as if this spread is absolutely supporting what I said earlier, because you're in the process, Aries, of having people see you evolve. So they don't want your leadership to disappear. They just want you to be more palatable in how you express yourself sometimes. I know that when I get triggered, you know, no holds barred with my anger. And it's taken a long time for me to learn the difference between wanting to be right about something and wanting to be heard. So here we go. Merlina says you're confused and indecisive because you see a change in yourself and other people are still working on it. You've been working on your emotional baggage. You've been cleaning the house of your mind. And this new moon in Taurus gives you an opportunity in your second house of money and self-worth to really look first to yourself and to see the hard work you've done, to allow Venus and Pisces to give you the support spiritually. I would meditate during this time or as this moon ramps up and ask Spirit to give you a physical experience to support your evolution, because now you're in a very strong position of leadership and you may reach many, many people. And I see Rosetta is about guiding and teaching children, but we are all children of the universe. And as you stand in leadership, and rather than being stubborn about just getting your point out, now you're starting to understand that it's how you get your point out, because people may inadvertently still react to you in an old way, but Spirit is saying, keep charging ahead, expect miraculous solutions. And there's the death card. This is Pluto in the 10th house, offering you a transformation in how you're being perceived by others. Now we have in the final position, Akasha the teacher and the water fairy. And I feel as if this is really an opportunity for Aries to be more of an inspirational influence, a more passionate influence, as you're more aware of how your expression, how you use your voice. The second house rules the voice. So this is speaking. I know by Gemini rules speaking and teaching, but every sign involves speaking and teaching at some point. So this is really about how you're teaching your teammates, your workmates, the people around you. You're teaching them a new version of yourself. So your patience with their process of catching up, because they may be a little expecting you to have a more fiery reaction to things. And as you have a more integrated sage reaction, and you realize that your words can be exactly the same, but your tone of voice and your delivery is a little bit more gentle. And I think you're going to start to see a big change in your career, which will then bring more money to you, because ultimately you're standing as a teacher. And even if you're not working in a technically a job, you're teaching everyone around you. You're teaching your children, you're teaching your parents, you're teaching your husband, your wife, your friends, and all of them may be used to you behaving a certain way. And this isn't about convincing them. It's about owning it yourself and allowing them the process of experience. Okay, let's go on to our Tauruses. This is going to be in your first house. The first house directly affects yourself. It affects how you show up in the world, meaning how you perceive yourself being seen out in the world, your perception. Is the glass half full or half empty? It's the Venus-Jupiter conjunction is going to be in your 11th house of friends and networks. It is the Pisces house, but it naturally rules social media, network, science, technology, your hopes, your dreams. It is also a house of money. And then the Pluto retrograde will happen in your 9th house. That will be Capricorn for you. So I believe that what's going to happen for Taurus is you're really going to look at yourself. You're going to look at your hopes and your dreams. I think Pisces is going to influence that in a way that's more about your hopes and your dreams and how aligned are you to that? Because the 9th house represents beliefs. And so if you have been struggling, Capricorn bringing kind of a more of an oppressive feel. We've gone through a lot of challenges with the pandemic and other dynamics going on throughout the world. So you may be feeling a little bit like, you may up until now have been feeling as if your true self was not being able to be expressed. That's the way I want to say it. And I feel now that this new moon in your sign at 10 degrees, my moon is in 9 degrees Taurus. So this is 1 degree away from me. And it's my emotional body, my intuitive body, the way I nurture myself. So Taurus, sometimes you may be a little bit too rigid. You know, that's the stubborn side of Taurus. And so this gives you an opportunity to really see how you're showing up for yourself, and if what you're doing is aligned to what you want to project out into the world. Again, 11th house rules large social media. It rules YouTube, it rules Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and being seen out in the world this way. And then Pluto is going to ask you in your 9th house of Capricorn, I'm going to say this gently, but are you telling yourself lies that are undermining your own happiness? Have you purported a certain energy for so long that it feels natural to purport it, but it doesn't support what you really want? So there's an opportunity to rewrite or revisit the structure of your beliefs and align them in a way where Capricorn is saying, all right, Taurus, I'll work with you because we train each other. So in some ways, we're harmonious to one another. And if you're willing to look at your beliefs and if they're serving you rather than being a little bit stubborn, this is who I am. This is how I am. Is that serving your happiness? So let's see. Let's start with our angel deck. Taurus, our first angel is Ariel. The second is Archangel Uriel. The third is Archangel Gabriel. And the final is Teresa. Uriel talks about your connection to the angelic realm, your psychic and spiritual experiences, prayer, meditation. It speaks of any sort of practice that you have that connects you to forces bigger than you, God, angels. It doesn't matter the name you call them. So Ariel is telling you there's an opportunity here within this new moon to have experiences that support a new perception of yourself. Taurus, this is happening in your first house. And I think this is really beautiful because if you've been holding yourself small, you've got Archangel Uriel and the opportunity or the obstacle, and that is being joined by the death card. A lot of your anger and your frustration and your unforgiveness. I'm going to tell you straight up, I am not an unforgiving woman, but people seem to do the same things over and over again. And then I start to feel like I'm an unforgiving woman. And so I have been haunted by frustration with other people. And this is an opportunity to truly transform any frustrations you have, because Archangel Gabriel is working with you, Taurus, to give you a new foundation of communication. And that communication starts with your perception of yourself and your value to yourself. And to ask yourself, you know, if you think about Tauruses can be slightly lazy. I don't want to really characterize it like that, but being ruled by Venus and luxury and comfort, you know, sometimes you sit down on the couch, you don't want to get back up, but it's okay. So now what Archangel Uriel and Archangel Gabriel are working with you is to transform how you're talking to yourself about any frustrations and to help your earth fixed energy heal in a way that makes those distasteful, challenging experiences serve a greater picture of your life. And I want to offer this because I think you're going to suddenly start to learn how to have healthy boundaries about worry, about concern, about things that aren't actually happening right now. So let's take this again for a minute with Taurus. The new moon's happening in your first house of self. So this is giving you an opportunity to see yourself from Spirit's point of view, to see that you never die, that every challenge you have is an opportunity to feel empowered. And as you start to grab onto that idea, you're going to shift your frustration and you'll see how inadvertently your own self-talk might have held you in frustration, because now you're willing to heal that self-talk. And in doing so, giving yourself another life and a new opportunity to have healthy boundaries and to feel a little bit independent from everybody else's point of view. And I want to offer that point of view looking like, well, how are you going to do that? You know, if we think about the idea that the second house rules the history of the fourth house, which is the family and the home, there's an opportunity for you to change the perception of how you nurture yourself. And if you feel obligated to take care of other people, maybe now you'll start to think, I need to take care of me first, and then I'm much better able to take care of other people. Okay. Let's go on to our Geminis. This eclipse is going to happen in your 12th house. The 12th house, again, a very spiritual house. To me, it's very much a connection to past lives, ancestors, elders, those that came before. So as Gemini sees this eclipse happening in their 12th house, I think that there's an opportunity to plant seeds for you to approach this situation. I've got this for Gemini. I've got the Venus Jupiter conjunction in the 10th house of career. So I think this could have something to do with your career, as well as Pluto transiting your 8th house, which is transformational. And that's Capricorn. So that's structure, government, the man, your boss on some level, the structure of your company. If you work for a big company, the boss might fall under the Virgo. Anyway, my point is this, Gemini. I believe that if you take time during this new moon to go into quiet time, go into meditation, even if it's like take a walk on the beach, take a walk through a park, take a walk through nature in some way, and allow yourself time alone to really contemplate what you want to birth in this earth energy of the Taurus. And in doing so, you have in your house of career, the 10th house is Pisces, you have Jupiter and Venus coming together to expand your money. And now I think that, Gemini, it's time to really allow Pluto to transform the structure of how you perceive yourself. I feel a little bit like, if we look at Gemini being a very communicative sign, it rules our everyday activities, it rules running the kids to school, it rules our roadways, our sidewalks, our escalators, running errands, it rules emails, all the to-do stuff during the day. So now, you take the mind that's busy with all those activities and you put it in a quiet place for a minute, and you give it an opportunity to take those everyday activities and sort of put them aside for a minute. There's an illumination and a feeling that will come through for Gemini that will then allow you to shift the way you're thinking, because this Jupiter Venus conjunction in Pisces in your 10th house of career and public eye is at the Gemini degree. I absolutely 100% believe our thoughts are things. People get a thought in their mind and they chew on it over and over and over again. Then the next thing you know, that thought shows up in their experience. The law of attraction. So now it's time to align those thoughts to what you really want to experience. 8th house, Pluto transformation in your house of structure. All right, Capricorn is the 8th house. Let's go on to the Gemini reading. All right, Gemini, our first angel is Archangel Uriel. The second is Astera. The third is Akasha. And the final is Aurora. I'm always going to think of the moon as my most important body, because my moon represents my emotions represent my motivation and inspiration to get things done, to put myself out there. I know most astrologers talk about perception, but your perception comes from your emotional body. And I say this because for Gemini, we have Archangel Uriel dealing with frustration. And I think maybe what you have is you're having an experience where you've been concentrating on something and focusing on the frustration of it. So let's see your history, the Baird right there. That's very powerful. So Archangel Uriel is helping Gemini start to tell a new story that's more aligned to what they want to experience. And this absolutely comes within your professional life. There's the network of the spider. I could easily say that's 11th or 10th house, because this is creative projects, the people you work with, networks, being in the network. And now it's time to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, and not to compromise, and do not compromise with your dream. Because up until now, you've been looking at your history to decide if your dream can actually come true. And that is not a good point of measure, because we have Akasha being joined. You're learning about your own focus. So here we go again. The monkey mind, no offense, Gemini, everyday activities focused on, I got to get this done. I got to get that done. I got to run here. I got to run there, blah, 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 blah. And somewhere that's creating frustration, because there's this feeling of going like this, right? So now Spirit's saying, okay, so let's start to raise our viewpoint. Let's start to raise the bar of what we want for ourselves. And now they're trying to teach you how to do that with your focus. Because if indeed you go, yeah, I want to do that, but I have to do that and that and that, and I can't do that until that. And that Gemini every day kind of getting on that hamster wheel is going to stick you somewhere that you may not necessarily need to be, but you think you do because you're attached to those everyday obligations. So now Aurora says you're flying high, don't descend. You will soon inspire others by your example. And there's the dragon. I believe this is an opportunity to find your power and strength through calm, intentional activities. And I want to offer it this way, Gemini, to take time during this week before the new moon on April 30th, partial solar eclipse, Pluto going retrograde the day before, taking time to reflect on your story. And if it is indeed still current, or you keep bringing it into the future or the present because you keep telling it, because now it's time to tell a new story and to focus on a new story so that spirit can start to bring a new experience, which will then not only inspire you and bring you calm and strength, but you will inspire others. Because again, this is the beauty of sort of being out of balance, right? When people experience you out of balance and then they see you come into balance, that is powerful. It helps change the dynamic of things, because when we just talk about change, it doesn't happen. We need to experience it. All right, let's go on to our Cancers. This new moon partial solar eclipse is going to happen in your 11th house. Taurus is your 11th house. We're going to have the Venus and Jupiter conjunction in Pisces in your 9th house. And we will have Pluto transiting retrograde in your 7th house of partnerships, which we should all know about because that's been going on forever and a day. All right, Cancer, 11th house. Again, here's hopes and dreams, desires. It's our network of friends. It rules space, science, technology, forward thinking, rebellion, individuality. And I feel like this is, the moon always rules Cancer. So this moon with the sun is giving you an opportunity to really kind of look in. And I want to say it this way, Taurus rules the voice. How are you using your voice within your networks? Are you speaking of your hopes and desires and dreams? We have Venus and Jupiter being in your 9th house. Jupiter naturally rules the 9th house, so this is very lovely. And it naturally, Pisces is in ancient times ruled by Jupiter. So you've got this very, very powerful, benevolent, expansive energy in your belief house, which then can transform your partnerships. The little shadow side of Cancer is it can be considered insecure as well. All with all the responsibility of nurturing, of caring for others, of being the emotional, body for the family, ruling home, hearth, property. There's a lot of vulnerability attached to this particular sign. It sits naturally at the very bottom of the zodiac wheel. So it sits underneath everything that's above. So everything else is a little more visible than this very, very sensitive and nurturing and loving sign. So I feel like Cancer, take some time to really look at the people you're surrounding yourself with. Are they supportive of your dreams? Are you being supportive of your dreams? Are you talking about your dreams? Or are you talking about the obstacles to getting there? Because this Venus-Jupiter conjunction offers at the 27th degree of Gemini an expansive viewpoint, a change in the way I believe something or I'm thinking about something that then can shift my partnership sector. And the 7th house is not just marriage partnerships, it's contractual partnerships. It's any partnerships that are signed and legally bound. And it's also the sign of diplomacy and peace and harmony. So you may find by being more authentic to your desires and hopes and how you express those in your networks changes your beliefs, which then affects all your contractual relationships in a good way, in a positive way. Cancer, the first angel is Daniel, the angel of marriage. The second is Chantal, the angel of romance. The third is Indriel. And the final is Aurora. Well, this is lovely for those so far. Let me see what adds to it, but we're talking about Daniel representing your history and partnerships. Pluto is going to be going retrograde in your house of partnerships, and a card just flew out, so let me get it. Cancer. You rule the fourth house naturally, and there's the 44 of the letting go card joined by Daniel. We have the owl joining Chantal. We have Merlin joining Indriel. And finally, we have love joining Aurora. This is ridiculous, Cancer. If you're looking for love, it is really super, or if you're in a loving relationship, it is super important to get deep and clean and real with your hopes and desires within that partnership, or within any partnership if you want one. And I think this is really, I kind of want to go back to the idea of spending a little bit of time alone to clear your mind. I feel as if I said this for Gemini because it's in their 12th house, this eclipse, and this is in your 11th house. But I feel almost as if, Cancer, maybe you need to look at the group of people you're hanging out with or talking to and see if they're supporting the higher vibration of what you want, or if they're chiming into the lower vibration of what you've experienced. Okay, because when I see Daniel in the letting go card, this is about moving away from the fear of what you've experienced in relationships. Daniel always talks about the history you bring into a love relationship. And even when you're a kid, you may not bring in a personal history, you bring in your parents' history and what you've experienced through their relationship. The letting go card is from the movie Frozen, the song Let It Go. It's funny how some distance makes everything look small, and the fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. Because Chantal and the owl are here. This is the angel of romance, saying that romance is imminent for you. So I think there's absolutely an opportunity for new partnership or the revision of a partnership in your experience over the next 6 months, starting with the planting of the seed on this new moon. Because what Chantal is asking and what the owl is asking Cancer to do is to really look at where you've been in your history in relationships, and to realize that some of those relationships, had they moved forward, would not have served your happiness. They would have got you what you wanted, married, children, whatever the case may be, but maybe not really aligned to your happiness. Because in the angel's advice is Merlin, justice, balance, and alchemy, and Indriel. And I've been saying for a long time that many people are going to be getting married at later dates. They are going to be experiencing their greatest loves, their greatest successes, their greatest fulfillments in later chapters of the human experience, because we're rewriting the structure overall. So here, this is in your 7th house of partnerships, and it ends, Cancer, with love. You're flying high right now. Don't descend, because you will soon inspire others. It's really, really important for you to plant the seed of what you want in the way of intimate partnerships, contractual partnerships. If for some reason we're going to Capricorn and this is a business relationship, then shoot it to the highest vibration of what you want to experience. Don't over nurture that relationship, because you need to nurture yourself so that you can nurture that relationship in balance. But I think this is about romance. I think this is about love. I think Cancer is going to experience greater depths of love, and in doing so, feeling more secure within themselves, which is super important. All right, let's go on to our Leos. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. This new moon is going to happen in your 10th house of career, of the public eye. So this means Taurus is your 10th house. It's how you're perceived, how people, how they perceive you. That's a good word to use. All right. So this is what I want to say for Leo. Leo's a natural leader. So as you are planting the seeds in your career for changes, for more, I want to say straight up money. We also have Venus and Jupiter coming together in Pisces in your 8th house. This is an opportunity to completely transform how you make money. The 8th house naturally rules other people's money. So this could be where clients purchase your wares, or your network of people that you know, 10th house, how you're perceived in the public eye of your career, by re-engaging relationships and allowing your money to transform, because the 8th house rules other people. So I think this is super powerful. Now we go and have Pluto, the 6th house of service. This feels very much, Leo, as if it is about abundance. It is about the transformation of your viewpoint of yourself and how you are of service. And in taking a little bit more of a leadership role, I guess I want to say, with this new moon in Taurus, about speaking from your heart, because Leo rules the heart. And one of the challenging parts of Leo is holding your heart kind of close, not wanting to expose yourself, feeling vulnerable. So let's see what Spirit has to say. Because the 6th house being Capricorn and being the house of service, it's also the house of enslavement. And if your heart is caught up in feeling fearful, then you may be fearful about actually putting yourself out there. And that's where Jupiter and Venus gets to transform your beliefs about money and expand money for you in a big way. All right, Leo, our first angel is Oceana. The second is Grace and Antoinette. The third is Astera, and the final is Caressa. Oceana is being joined by the Wind Fairy. Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the Wealth card. Astera is being joined by the Mystery card. And Caressa is being joined by the Dog. This is really beautiful, Leo. I want to offer this because Oceana represents like the moon to me. She's always telling me to swim up through my emotional body towards that whale, towards the light, so that I can feel the warmth and comfort of my soul's intention. And then there's the Wind Fairy. So for me, this Leo 10th house is about really looking at what you're thinking and if it is aligned to what you're feeling. You know, this would be the conflict between my heart and wanting to and not wanting to be vulnerable in front of others, because I think that there's a little bit of something right now, which is I almost feel as if when I look at this Taurus 10th house, I feel like it's about having my voice, speaking my voice, my how I'm feeling about my resources, about money, about how I'm, you know, will there be enough food on the table kind of idea. It's been a sketchy time in the world right now. And I want to offer it this way, because I think your heart may be trusting, but your head may be messing with you. And I think now is a time for you to be compassionate and start to stand in this place of harmonious wealth, of this idea that thoughts are things. And when we start to get caught up in too many thoughts, it actually interrupts our manifestations, because what it ends up doing is we end up chewing on the problems versus the solutions. So Venus and Jupiter coming together in your 8th house is in many ways saying, hey, it's okay for you to transform and to give life to the idea that other people will find value in what you bring and want to purchase your services or purchase your products, or your resources are abundant. Because again, we're talking 10th house, public eye, that's the career sector. We're talking about 8th house being the Pisces for you, the Venus-Neptune conjunction at 27 degrees, Gemini degree, everyday activities, how I'm working with others. Now we go into the Pluto being Capricorn in your 6th house of work. So there's a complete transformation being offered. So Leo, Spirit is saying, make the choice to reach for the stars with your dreams and desires, and have compassion with yourself as you focus on wealth that is not yet in the 3D world. Because Caressa says you're at the end of a life cycle, new happiness awaits you. And the Dog, it feels like sincerity and loyalty. So this is the way I want to put it. I feel like for my Leos that your 10th house of Taurus has the ability to make more money over the next 6 months until we see the full moon, as you plant seeds within your public sector and allow the idea that wealth will expand as you align with confidence, Venus, to the dynamic that your products, services are palatable to others. And rather than feeling enslaved, know that you have loyalty behind you. I'm always telling people that regardless of the work you do to make money, you're building relationships, and each relationship and the health of that relationship is the viability for your money. If you work with somebody that you don't like, unless you're forced to work with them, but if you're working like, if your accountant is mean to you, you're not going to go back to that accountant. If, unless you're intimidated by them. But my point is this: everything is relationship based. So Leo, as you step into a relationship with your own abundance, with your own viability, with your own, I want to say attractiveness, and I mean that in an energetic way, not necessarily a physical way, you're going to start to see things change for you. And you're going to start to see where you have held your heart in a vulnerable way of fear. Now you can open it up because you're going to see people being loyal to you. And I think that this could come in the form of old clients, vendors, customers, coming back and being like, I forgot you were there. And now you're nurturing this relationship and it's opening up. All right, let's go to Virgo. Virgo, the new moon is going to be in your 9th house of beliefs. The Venus-Jupiter conjunction is in your 7th house of contractual partnerships. And Pluto is transiting your 5th house of self-expression. So let's see. 9th house rules travel, it rules philosophy, it rules the nomad and the gypsy. And having it be Taurus, let me see how I want to think of that, because Taurus is an earth sign, Virgo is an earth sign. And I can't help but superimpose property, value, possessions on that 9th house. So Virgo, there could be something where you're planting in this new moon new beliefs about your possessions, about your things, about maybe even where you want to live. I know 4th house is home, but Taurus, wherever your home is where you're going to thrive. All right, let's look. I'm sorry, I meant to say Virgo. It's the Taurus house, 9th house. Virgo, our first angel is Sonia. The second is Oceana. The third is Celeste. And the final is Grace and Antoinette. The 9th and the 5th house are known as Dharma houses. They're houses of reward for past lives and endeavors in past lives. And I have Sonia representing a deceased loved one, Virgo. So this is interesting. Sonia is being joined by the love card. Oceana is being joined by the perception card. Celeste is being joined by the novice. And Grace and Antoinette is being joined by the fire fairy. This is really interesting to me because with this new moon in Taurus and the sign in the house of beliefs, of philosophy, of foreign travel, I can't help, I watch a lot of History Channel, and basically the oceans were the highways for eons before the car and locomotive were invented, planes were invented. So I can't help but think about foreign travel, the 9th house representing spirituality in the sense of religion and philosophy, as I said. So I feel as if there's something going to happen in the way that you are valuing your philosophical life, almost as if you're, because this love card and Sonia, I could say that it's a deceased loved one sending you love from the other side, but I don't think so. Although you can, that is the connection to the angelic realm. But I think this is your guides and your angels telling Virgo, the sign of service, the sign of practicality and dependability. It's time for you. It's time to do what you love, because now we have in the opportunity, the obstacle, the perception card and Oceana. And then I can't help but go to your 7th house of partnerships, yes, but also of harmony, diplomacy, compassion, feeling at peace. And Virgo, what if your guides are saying it's okay to just do what you love, because it's time for you to feel a sense of peace in your emotional body, in what's important to your emotional body, to your relaxing body, to the things that you love. Sometimes when you work so hard, Virgo, you've been working so hard that you don't even remember what you love. I've been working 6 days a week. I just have time to do laundry on Sundays. No, I think Spirit's saying, let's use this new moon to plant seeds, to start to take those Taurian dynamics of eating good food and taking your time, sitting down and having a meal, nurturing yourself. Because in the angel's advice is a shift in the way you're thinking. I could say it's work. Yes, we've got some you naturally rule work, and this is the unstable new beginning, but I normally see Celeste as a shift in the way I'm thinking. So now I go to the idea that Capricorn is traversing your 5th house of pleasure, fun, hobbies, of entertainment. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Virgo, it's time to allow this new moon to infuse a whole bunch of entertainment and fun into your life. You can work later. And I don't mean you're going to quit your job. I mean it that I think this new moon is asking you to make luxury a priority. Luxury of your own time, luxury of your own interests, luxury of your own personal fun. Because here in the final position, we have Grace and Antoinette requiring compassion as you step into your passions, represented by the fire fairy. And I want to offer this too, because Pluto is a rough transit. We know that it's just ripping the lies we tell ourselves, the lies that have been told to us out from underneath our feet. And I got some very wise advice from somebody telling me that, because I have Pluto squaring 3 very powerful points in my chart right now. And for a while, I didn't know what to do with myself. They said, just allow yourself Venusian things, enjoy music and art and things that bring you harmony. I think that's exactly what is going on here for Virgo. I think that this is an opportunity to rewrite your beliefs from more of a relaxed energy. Taurus also represents our history. So this new moon, it gives you an opportunity to rewrite your history. Because if this is a deceased loved one, they would have influenced how you perceive yourself. So now I think this is about love. Love of self, love of things, love of hobbies, love of relaxation, love of entertainment. And now it's time to allow your emotional body to be important to you. And that while this has not been so practical for you in the past, you're more than willing to make that shift now. And as you go through the process, and it may feel a little uncomfortable every once in a while to let that laundry just sit and wait, go to the movies instead, I think you'll be okay. All right, let's go on to our Libras. You know, I always say Libra like that because I'm a Libra sun, but I'm really very Aryan. My Aries rising. Okay, Libra. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. Taurus is your 8th house. And Venus and Jupiter will be making this conjunction in your 6th house of Pisces. And Capricorn is your 4th house. So this has been interesting. So when I look at this and I see Libra's 8th house is Taurus, we have this commingling here. Again, we see this 8th house. It represents other people's money. It represents taxes and insurances and financial funeral parlors. It rules sex. And here we have Taurus, the sign of luxury, possessions, of things that I love. So I think that there's the potential that Libra has an opportunity to transform not only their material comfort, but I also want to say transform your history a bit, to transform how you view yourself, to take your family history, because we've got that fourth house in play here with Pluto transiting Capricorn, and start to redefine your need of emotional validation, is the way I want to put it, from other people. I don't know why I want to put it that way, but I think of when I'm putting that moon in Taurus in the 8th house, I can't help but feel like other people are attached to my self-worth. And maybe it's because I married into money. Maybe it's because I'm the person with the money. I'm not sure, but I want to start to allow myself to transform that idea into a more higher vibration, the way I want to put it, to see it as an opportunity for revolution. And I mean that revolution. 6th house of Pisces is the 6th house of work. So there's an opportunity that you will find, Libra, expansion and value. I want to say value, but I don't know if I think it's money value right now. I think it's rewriting my sense of confidence. I think it's somehow, when I look at this Libra 6th house, it's giving me a sense of validation and a sense of reconciliation, understanding something through my service as I've walked through this Pluto 4th house transformation. So let's see, Libra. Our first angel is Merlina. The second is Francesca. The third is Opal. And the final is Teresa. So Libra, 4th house Pluto is going to be all about other people. Again, that's the house of nurturing, of home and hearth, property, of, taking and nurturing other people and children and husbands and aging parents, everybody within your family. So I feel as if when I'm looking at this, there's an opportunity not to feel burdened. That's the way I want to put it. To try to transform this into loving service in some way. Merlina is being joined by the Wealth card. Francesca's being joined by the Novice. Opal's being joined by the Perception card. And Teresa's being joined by the Owl. There's some challenging certain signs like Cancer and Libra, to name 2. Maybe I'd even throw Gemini in there, but Cancer and Libra are very much 2 signs that support other people, that nurture and take care of other people and are in compromise with other people. So the reason I bring this up is because there's something about transformation for Libra, because if you're hitting on that lower vibration of Libra where you're doing things you don't want to do and you're starting to become resentful, there's an opportunity to transform that. Because Merlina is saying that you're confused and indecisive, and I don't think that's really it. I think that there may be a little bit more burden. Libra's sometimes so cooperative that they're self-deprecating. And now I think maybe it's time to have a voice, Taurus. Taurus is the voice, and allow your voice to transform and to experience harmonious wealth through the transformation of your voice. Because you may inadvertently, Francesca talks about focusing on negativity. And if you are in a partnership where you're used to somebody behaving a certain way, you're going to say, this is how they're going to react. This is how they're going to react. And more than likely, that is how they'll react. But now you get to add something new into the mix by giving life to a new experience. Because in the opportunity, and I'm sorry, in the angel's advice is Opal saying that God is in charge of this new perception. It's almost as if, Libra, you are not serving yourself by only looking at the human experience. There's a part of you that gets to transform 8th house, your emotional body, by giving this over to God and saying, look, God, I've never experienced this person with a different attitude. So if that can happen, you better show it to me, because I'm having a hard time believing it. Because there's something about other people and the worry of other people and going back and forth between wanting to be around them, nurture them, help them, 4th house Pluto, transiting Capricorn, structure, expectation. Capricorn fourth house is going to be a duty to family. And if Libra is feeling a duty to family that is distasteful, it's an opportunity to transform that by using your voice in a way that is compassionate and yet still stands up for the self. Because in many ways, by allowing your voice to speak for your own needs, you're actually being more able to take care of others' needs. All right, that's where I'm going with that. Let's go on to our Scorpios. This Taurus new moon is going to be in your 7th house. Venus Jupiter conjunction is in your 5th house of romance. And Pluto's retrograde is going to be in your 3rd house, Capricorn. So let's see. That's pretty powerful. 7th house, contractual partnerships. 5th house is not just romance, it's enjoyment and pleasure and expression and children. And the 3rd house is also children, younger children, 5th house being like high school children, 3rd house being more like school age, younger children. But I see this as a little bit more about your creativity within the work environment. I'm seeing the 7th house Taurus as work for some reason, and being able to, again, have a voice, express yourself, have more confidence, or at least laying the seeds to have a bigger voice moving forward, and allowing Jupiter and Venus not just to expand money, but your ideas and your creativity, because that's the 5th house, and then bringing that fearlessly into your 3rd house of Capricorn and presenting to your teammates, workmates, or how you perceive your everyday life. And if indeed you do want a partnership, you may have to look a lot at your house of Capricorn. And if you're rubbing up against a structure that doesn't work for you, but for some reason I want to go to work. We'll see, Scorpio. Our first angel is Indriel. The 2nd is Desiree. The 3rd is Rosetta. And the final is Athena. Indriel is being joined by the owl. Desiree is being joined by the Lady of the Lake. Rosetta is being joined by the Love card. And Athena is being joined by the High Priest. Okay. All right, this is where I'm going with this. I really feel as if Scorpio, there could potentially be this feeling of not being appreciated in your partnerships. All contractual partnerships I'm including here. The Love card came up, but it also came up in the Angel's Advice. So I don't know if this is exactly about committed marriages as much as it's about contractual relationships. 7th house, 5th house is your voice, your expression, your need to feel loved and appreciated within your romantic sector. 5th house Pisces, Venus is the best friend is Pisces, and Jupiter is an ancient ruler. So this is really a time to think about how important your romantic life is, and if your community, if your partnerships are supporting that, because that 3rd house is your neighborhoods, your workmates, your teammates, the people you've known forever, the people in your community, and you could potentially meet a love interest in your community. But I think, Scorpio, this is really about how you're being loved and giving yourself an opportunity to stand for that. Pluto, your ruling planet, is breaking stuff up at the 28th degree right now. It's going to go 27th degree. We're going to look a lot about 28th degree. To me is it reduces down to a 1, a 10. So there's thought. It also is the Cancer degree. How am I nurtured? And then we're going to hit the 27th degree, and we're going to see this Geminian influence of how am I thinking. So now is a time for Scorpio to dig deep and to really decipher from a inspired point of view the benefits of deception and wisdom. The dark makes the light pop. The light makes the dark pop. One serves the other. There's no hero without a villain. There's no day without night. There's no sun without a moon. So it's time, I think, for you to really look and see about if you've been courageous in your truth. Because if you're a Scorpio that has been engaged in a sexual relationship versus a loving relationship, you may find that you don't want just sex. You want romance and love and activities, and to go have fun with that person, to go to concerts with them, to go to, out to eat. And that it's not happening. Somewhere this feels as if there's a back and forth energy. So Spirit is saying, are you really teaching someone how to love you? Are you standing in your truth? Because if you think somehow that they'll see deeply, Pluto rules you, Scorpio. So you see deeply into others, but they don't always deeply see into you. So there's a part of you that's going to have to be brave about being authentic to what you need, because this 6-month process ends with you being more willing to lovingly assert yourself towards what your soul desires, not what your personality tells you you can achieve. So let me go back and say that I think this 6-month cycle, with the ruler of the moon being in conjunction with Jupiter, has an opportunity to shift your beliefs and expand how you feel loved. But you're going to have to work with the energies by having healthy boundaries and not giving your power up, or pretending there's something that you don't need that you do need. Okay, let's go on to our Sagittariuses. This new moon is going to be in your 6th house of work, employment, and health. The Venus-Jupiter conjunction is going to be in your 4th house of home, and the Pluto transit is happening in your 2nd house of money. 246, 642, kind of has a little ring to it. All right, let's see. Sagittarius rising, moon, sun, and stelliums. Our first angel Sagittarius is Athena. The second is Francesca. The third is Archangel Raphael. And the final is Indriel. As I look at Athena, Athena is a very determined energy. She's not pushy and she's not aggressive, but she's not taking no for an answer. So let's see. Athena's being joined by the Queen. Francesca's being joined by the dragon. Archangel Raphael is being joined by Merlin, and Indriel's being joined by the cow. All right, I'm going to say it straight up. Sagittarius, I think this might be about your health sector versus your work sector. And I'll say it this way. I don't think it's about ill health. I think it's more about starting to fuel your body versus potentially feeding your body. When I see Athena and I see the Queen, I feel as if there is a bit of there's a very much owning things here for you. And 6th house rules your health sector. And I want to offer it this way, because the Queen is a very calm energy. Athena is a very loving energy. If indeed you have been in a health situation or concerned about your health, I mean, we've been going through a pandemic. There's a lot of fear around health right now. But I want to offer it this way, Sagittarius. You are a philosopher. You are rogue in your willingness to think outside the box, which is fabulous. And I feel like Spirit is saying this is really about being calm, about being receptive to Spirit's guidance, and to understand that pushing is a resistant energy. And I want to offer it this way, because if indeed Sagittarius is of a female of childbearing years, well, I guess you don't have to be a female. You could be a male if you want to procreate and have children with your partner. This is really about being receptive. It's about understanding on a philosophical and on a connection to the angelic realm that everything you want will happen. And part of it is your ease and belief within your body and its ability to course correct, to recalibrate. The 4th house being Venus and Jupiter's conjunction in Pisces. you know, that we could naturally think that Pisces is a little bit erosive because of the Neptune ruler, but at the same time, this is an opportunity to dig deep and to find home within your spirituality, because the dragon here is chiming right behind the Queen and Athena in being calm and assertive, and to see indeed what are you focusing in on. I'm not a big fan of modern medicine because my experience is that they are fear planters. They plant little fear seeds inside of me. And I don't like that, because once my mind starts to chew on something, it's hard to get it out. So I feel as if your power and strength lies, Sagittarius, in your ability to see where you're inadvertently focusing in on the more challenging dynamics. And if you've been feeling like you want to implement more nutrition, I want to go to food, and how do I eat food? Taurus rules food. I had an abscess for a while, and I implemented some of the medical mediums protocols for an abscess. I changed my diet. I reduced dairy down to almost nothing. Gluten doesn't bother me much. Dairy is a killer for me. My point is this: the abscess is gone. My dentist told me that that's not possible. I'm like, no, it is possible, because for years, for millennia, man has survived without modern medicine. And I say all this because Archangel Raphael handles healing the physical body, and there's Merlin, alchemy, justice, and balance. This is happening in your house of health. Venus and Jupiter is in the house of home and nurturing, and Pluto is in your second house of your family history and the story you tell yourself and your self-worth. Because Indriel in the final position, Sagittarius, is offering you abundance, both in your body and outside your body. And there's Indriel. It comes through the epiphany that everything I need will be provided for me by spirit. And my job is to allow for inspired action. I didn't sit here and go, oh, yay, abscess, go away. No, I took action. I made sure to fuel my body in a way to support my cells so they knew what to do. That's what's going on for Sagittarius. I think this is super powerful. I'm going more to your health because of the cards and because of the cow. If this is involving your work sector, the same parameters about value and nurturing yourself apply. Okay, let's go on to Capricorn. Oh boy, Capricorn. This new moon is happening in your fifth house. Capricorn always trines Taurus. So it's a nice conversation they have with one another. They promote harmony and peace within each other. Fifth house is creativity, children, fun. I've been seeing this transformation for Capricorn, going from the old cranky goats to the happy baby goats that you see dancing all over the place. So here we see the fifth house. It's a Dharma house. It's a reward house for good deeds in past lives. We have the Venus-Jupiter conjunction in the third house for Capricorn, which will be Pisces. And then we have the Pluto retrograde in your first house. Yay! Your whole self has been transforming for quite some time. So those of you that are born at the late degrees of Capricorn, you'll be feeling this as a conjunction to you, this Pluto retrograde. And again, this is not meant to kill you, although many people refer to Pluto as a criminal. It's really, Pluto is asking Capricorn, what are the lies you're telling yourself that don't serve your happiness? And it potentially could be something to the effect of, I have a certain responsibility in life, and if I don't do it, nobody will. That's Pluto in your first house. So this is giving you an opportunity as Pluto goes retrograde back through your first house to revisit how much responsibility can you really take for everybody else. That would be your third house. Because, you know, third house can represent children, siblings. You may have a challenge with a sibling, because the fifth house is also could be siblings in the respect of older siblings. So we've got 1, 3, 5 in play here. 1 with Pluto transiting your house of self. 3, the third house giving you an opportunity to feel expansive and to feel more loving relationship between you, your siblings, you, your workmates, you, your surroundings, your everyday activities, as you allow the new moon in your fifth house of pleasure and personal joy, hobbies to flourish. It's almost like Capricorn, if you put yourself on a 6-month stretch to do something frivolous every week, it would be fabulous for your transformation. Really. So let's see what Spirit has to say. Our first angel is Desiree. I'm sorry, it's Bridget. I lied. The second is Azure. The third is Xana. And the final is Indriel. Sometimes, you know, we think we have to work in order to make things happen, but it's actually becomes counterintuitive. If we work too hard, the energy is actually mutated into something obligatory, and that obligation then slows the manifestation. So Bridget is being joined by the hawk, Azure is being joined by the spider, Xana is being joined by the communication card, and Indriel is being joined by the transformational butterfly. So this is where I'm going. Fifth house is fun. Taurus likes fun. Taurus likes to shop. Let's go shopping. That'll be fun. Let's go walk around the mall and buy some stuff that I don't really need. Let me buy another fake apple to go in that bowl on my table. Bridget is asking Capricorn to look deeper and to rise above in your perception about your thoughts. There's the 11, okay? So we're looking deeper in your ability to rise above your perceived obligations, your perceived expectations. You know, Capricorn is a sign that says, I don't care what you do, but you better work hard at it. And you better not miss a T, cross those T's, dot those I's. I'm going to come back and check it. So it can feel a little oppressive. It can feel a little depressing. But Capricorn is also the sign that says, if you're doing what you want, if you're doing something you love, I will support you with money, with tenacity, with discipline. It's a reward house. So here's Azure saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't force it. And the spider card is a relationship card. Okay. For me, this is the relationship with yourself, because the transformation is happening in your first house. Pluto's transforming you and your perception and how you communicate with yourself. Because a lot of Capricorn's obligations are because they're so aware of what everybody else needs, they superimpose those onto themselves. So here, Xana is saying you're being protected from your own personal communication, from the communication that says that you don't actually get to enjoy things, or you don't. I feel like Capricorn would be the type that says, well, it's Saturday and I've got to wash the car, go to the grocery store and hit Costco, and then I'll go to the beach. No, go to the beach, call Instacart, have somebody else wash your car just for once, because this is time to take inspired action to allow for your transformation and to see in some respects that when you have fun, fifth house, when you allow yourself to enjoy your possessions and your warm, cozy, fun home or a good meal, you're actually serving a bigger picture. You're serving yourself, which then serves your community and gives you a more benevolent and warm, fuzzy feeling towards your third house dynamics. So if your siblings have been annoying to you, you may be annoying to them because you're so busy following the rules and they want to go, do something cuckoo crazy. And so you decide, forget the rules today. I'm going to go with my siblings and do something cuckoo crazy. And it reestablishes the relationship, or at least gives it an opportunity for reestablishment. Capricorn, let yourself be a baby goat, please. That's all I got to say. All right, let's go on to our Aquariuses. Rising moon, sun, and stelliums. The Taurus is your fourth house of home. So this eclipse is happening in your fourth house. The Jupiter-Venus conjunction will be in your second house, Pisces, and the 12th house is Capricorn for you. So this will be where that Pluto transit is happening for you. That 12th house Pluto transit, I would imagine, could really give you the potential to speak to the dead or to have some visions, meditations that include past life memories, ancestral memories, memories of your soul's memories. That's where I want to put it. All right. 4th house, Aquarius. This is where the new moon is. Our first angel is Azure. The second is Sonia. The third is Maya. And the final is Shanti. I talk about talking to the dead, and the dead show up in the reading. All right. Azure says your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Have patience and faith and don't try to force it. With the Taurus new moon, partial solar eclipse, there could be a wanting to actually move or live in an environment or in a dynamic that's more authentic to where you are and how you feel. That's one thing. Azure is being joined by the love card. Sonia is being joined by the truth card. Maya's being joined by the novice, and Shanti's being joined by the horse. Okay, so now we have Venus and Jupiter in Pisces in your 2nd house. So this is interesting to me because when I go there, I can't help but think about, I kind of going more to the Taurus dynamic than I am the family history. So I'm feeling kind of a double Taurian energy for my Aquarians, because when I look at Azure saying your desired outcome will happen in the near future, have patience and faith and don't try to force it. And then there's the love card. And I couldn't help but look at this all as almost like really wanting to have a new environment, living in a new place, or living in or sprucing up my home environment, my property, my family in a way that is more authentic to who I am. And I want to offer it this way because this Sonia and the truth card feels like it's not necessarily talking to the dead, but it could be that there's a bigger truth of your soul that is appearing right now. And again, there's this kind of futuristic feeling, Aquarius. We talk about the age of Aquarius coming in, where people, when the moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, then peace will rule the planets. No, peace will rule the planet and love will guide the stars. That's the song Age of Aquarius. Because where I'm going with this is I feel like there's a deeper truth coming through your soul. And now Spirit is teaching you how to trust that. You're learning how to trust this new conversation that you're having with a deeper part of yourself. And that is offering you an opportunity to go into new directions and to feel a sense of peace. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus rules nervous breakdowns and electricity and lightning. And so there's this little bit of a nervous energy that can be attached to Aquarius. But this is where I feel like this opportunity to be at home, to let this new moon plant the seeds for something that really feels authentic. Part of my challenge with Aquarius, I think, is that because it's the sign of the humanitarian, it's the sign of networks. I think sometimes the Aquarian itself gets drowned out in the network, in the bigger picture. And that might be part of the anxiety, is that you're not being authentic to what you need for yourself and feeling this pull to constantly have to help others get a leg up, however that is. So I think now is an opportunity for Azure saying for you to really step into the things that you love. Allow that transformation, go into your 12th house, Pluto 12th house, and give yourself some downtime. Give yourself some time in meditation, I almost want to say, if you can't quiet your mind, maybe you do it like an air conditioning meditation. There's one on this channel if you'd like it, or allow some sort of hum or something that seems a little drony. That will take you into those places of being able to really connect with the deeper truth of yourself. This feels very Plutonian right now, 12th house Pluto transit, which offers me a new beginning because I'm really starting to see things from that revolutionary point of view. And I'm starting to really implement my intuitive body, which is giving me a sense of peace. And now I'm not feeling so anxious. All right, on to our final sign, Pisces. This Taurus new moon is in your 3rd house. The Jupiter-Venus conjunction is in your first house. Yay. And then Pluto is transiting your 11th house of networks. So let's see what's going on for you. The first thing I think about that third house is it's revolutionizing the way Pisces, rising moon, sun, and stelliums is processing their everyday lives. And I believe that the energy of Taurus itself at the 10th degree is accentuating the thought process. What am I thinking? How am I feeling? Pisces is a naturally mutable sign, very cooperative, and it rules the house that is behind the house of self. So sometimes Pisces may feel unseen, I think. Okay. Here's our first angel is Crystal. The second is Bridget. The third is Yvonne. And the final is Athena. I've heard it said that Pisces is the one water sign that doesn't have a protective shell. The scorpion has its stinger, the crab has a shell, and yet the little fishies that are Pisces just have each other. And when they get into trouble, they try to swim really fast and run away. So I think that's going to come into play here. All right, we have Crystal being joined by Merlin. We have Bridget being joined by the disruption card. We have Yvonne being joined by the Lady of the Lake. And we have Athena being joined by the Baird. Crystal represents having faith and hope in something that you can't see. And Pisces, that's really good for you because you can feel. And that's important. And I think it's important because if there is to be magic through Merlin, justice, alchemy, and balance, you're going to have to go into a space of inner knowing. And I want to offer it this way because the third house naturally rules thinking, speaking, teaching, writing, and what we absorb ourselves, the material we absorb ourselves in. I feel right now for Pisces, it's super important to ask yourself if you're going to let your intuition lead you, or and your truth and what is authentic to you, or if outside stimuli is going to affect your decision-making, your choices. Because Bridget is saying to look deeper into any disruptions, because Spirit is encouraging you so much to being vulnerable to your deeper truth. And the Lady of the Lake holds the truth sword of Excalibur with such delicacy. She's not gripping that sword in the midst of this storm, but understanding more that the storm is within herself, not the truth. So now it's time for Pisces to lovingly assert yourself towards telling a new story about your history. So here we have this idea of the third house representing what I speak, what I teach, what I submerge myself in, what I read. It also has to do with my siblings and my story with my siblings, or my story with my schoolmates, my teammates, my workmates, my community. Now we have Venus and Jupiter expanding and offering bounty when you look at the 27th degree of what you're thinking, the Geminian degree. And now we go Pluto transforming your friendships. That's the 11th house, but it's also your hopes and your dreams. And maybe there's been a little part of you that hasn't really given or claimed your hopes and your dreams in a way that has allowed them to take root. And maybe there's been something going on in your third house, and that's why we're having this eclipse. It's a fated event of some kind. It's the beginning of a sequence of experiences that offers balance. But part of it is Pisces making a choice to trust something that they only know inside their heart or inside their intuitive body, or something that is an intention that they're putting out through their intuitive body. And the focus thereof will make you feel vulnerable to your truth. But at the same time, it can rewrite the story for you. And that's where Capricorn and Pluto transiting your 11th house can completely transform what has not worked. Whatever lies you've been telling yourself in regards to your networks, your 11th house, the structures of that 11th house, the obligations attached to that 11th house, those can be rewritten by your willingness to go into your intuitive and spiritual body and sit there a little bit and let that be your guide. Okay. That's it for this fabulous first eclipse in 2022 eclipse season. Again, I am doing a webinar that day on the South and North nodes, going through the signs. These nodal points infer a soul's intention and past life incarnations that have left an imprint on the soul, which we carry from lifetime to lifetime. If you sign up before the 24th of April, it's $19.99. If you sign up the 25th through the 29th, it's $29.99. And you can purchase the link after, but there'll be no signups on the day thereof because I don't know how to do that. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'll be back with more material, more content, and more information. Again, my name is Teri Hunter. If you'd like to book a reading with me, my information is below and I am available. I look forward to hearing from you. See you next time.